A few hours ago, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev made a statement that shocked the German authorities. In particular, commenting on the kidnapping of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro by the United States, he bluntly stated that Washington's similar actions against a sovereign country had completely untied Russia's hands. Dmitry Medvedev made it clear that Russia reserves the full right to use similar methods against its own enemies. Furthermore, immediately after that, Medvedev admitted that very soon Russia could carry out an operation aimed at kidnapping some of the so-called European leaders, including German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. According to Medvedev, the German Chancellor has committed so many crimes on his conscience that everyone, including German citizens, will be grateful for his kidnapping and sending him to Siberia. The kidnapping of this neo-Nazi Friedrich Merz will be a great plot twist in this carnival show. Even German citizens will thank us for this, Dmitry Medvedev said. It is noteworthy that the German authorities reacted very painfully to the words of such a high-ranking Russian politician. In particular, a spokesperson for the German Chancellor, Sebastian Hill, said that such statements against Friedrich Merz are unacceptable. At the same time, he stressed that the German authorities took Medvedev's threats very seriously. Furthermore, Sebastian Hill also said that Friedrich Merz allegedly has an outstanding guard, consisting of employees of the Federal Office for Criminal Cases of Germany. According to him, the German Chancellor is so well protected that any operation to kidnap him is allegedly doomed to complete failure. By the way, many British netizens also commented on Dmitry Medvedev's words about the possible kidnapping of European leaders by Russia. In particular, they asked Dmitry Medvedev to kidnap Keir Starmer and send him to Siberia for life imprisonment. The fact is that British citizens did not like the way Keir Starmer commented on the treacherous US attack on Venezuela and the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro. In particular, Starmer stated that Venezuelan citizens would not mourn Maduro, as he lacked popular support, and was not a politician embraced by the people. British network users noted that British citizens would also not mourn Starmer after his abduction, since the current British Prime Minister does not enjoy wide popularity and support among his own people. Indeed, as of January 2026, Keir Starmer's rating does not exceed 16%. Moreover, the words of the current British Prime Minister were also condemned by many British politicians. In particular, Richard Burgon, a member of the British Parliament, noted that Starmer's words are cowardly, shameful, and reckless. It is also worth noting the words of British politician John McDonnell. According to him, Keir Starmer has once again demonstrated to the world that Britain is a colony of the United States, and that London, on Trump's orders, is willing to overlook violations of international law and the sovereignty of other countries. Meanwhile, on the night of January 6, Russia launched another massive missile strike on Ukraine. This time, independent monitoring services recorded 150 powerful explosions in regions such as Zaporizhia, Chernihiv, Nikolaev, Kharkiv, Transcarpathia, Dnipropetrovsk, and Odessa. It is well known that in these regions, military and logistics facilities have become the main target of Russian missiles and kamikaze drones. For example, in the Chernihiv and Nikolaev regions, Russian ballistic missiles struck a training camp and several airfields, from which Ukrainian army and NATO forces carried out a controlled launch of aircraft-type drones. In the Zaporizhia and Kharkiv regions, the Russian military attacked enemy logistics hubs. As a result, the railway supply of the Ukrainian army in the south and north of the country was disrupted. It is also worth noting the intensification of Russian missile strikes against US-owned facilities in Ukraine. In particular, in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Russian ballistic missiles wiped out the Olena oil extraction plant, owned by the American Bunge Company, from St. Louis. Furthermore, in western Ukraine, in the Transcarpathian region, Russian kamikaze drones, together with ballistic missiles, caused critical damage to the Flex plant, which also belonged to American investors. However, Russian missile attacks on U.S. facilities in Ukraine did not end there. In particular, on the night of January 6, Russia launched a massive missile attack on the American Marine Terminal Olympex, which is considered the largest in the Odessa region. According to witnesses, even though this facility was protected by Patriot air defense systems, they failed to stop the Russian missiles. Furthermore, the subsequent explosions turned out to be so powerful that a supermassive mushroom cloud arose over Odessa. All this indicates that this marine terminal contained numerous warehouses with NATO weapons. My friends, let me remind you that Zelensky gave the Olympex marine terminal to the United States last summer, as part of the US-Ukraine rare earth mineral deal. At the same time, it is worth noting that this is the second Russian attack on this facility. However, yesterday's Russian missile strike turned out to be so powerful and devastating that it will take months and tens of millions of dollars to restore this marine terminal. In general, it is worth noting that the Odessa seaports only formally belong to Ukraine. Since 2014, the United States, Canada, and Britain have bought the entire port infrastructure facilities of Odessa. In particular, Odessa seaports are owned by American, Canadian, and British companies such as Bunge Limited, Cargill, Viterra, and Lloyd's of London. Thus, as you can see, the regular Russian missile strikes on Odessa threaten not only the supply of Western weapons to the Ukrainian army, but also the financial assets of countries such as the United States, Canada, and Britain. Simply put, Moscow is making it clear to the United States and its so-called allies that their investments in Odessa were in vain, and that sooner or later they will all have to flee Ukraine.